What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast. I'm your host, Will Ferrero. On today's episode, we have Devin Hogan. Devin is in the insurance industry, and he can get you a policy on just about anything, whether it's a boat, car, business, house. He's your guy. In this episode, we talk about a couple different things. We talk about his wrestling career and how he stuck the county champion in the finals of a tournament. We talk about how he wound up as the president of our BNI chapter, and generally about how he likes to network and build his book of business. I hope you enjoy this episode. What's going on, Devin? Good to see you today.
Good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Doing well. Can you just give us a little bit of an introduction and a background about you and what you do for work?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Devin Hogan. I work at Hudson United Insurance. I've been in the industry for about 9 years, I want to say. I started when I was 20, so that makes it 9 years. I live here in Jersey City, based out of Manhattan. And what we do at our firm, we are a property and casualty insurance agency. So we do commercial insurance, we do auto insurance, we do home insurance. Occasionally we do boats and motorcycles and things like that. But the main thing we do is auto, home, business, umbrella, and we focus on 4 states: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. We handled some incidental business in the Carolinas, Virginia. I'm personally licensed in Florida, but if you've watched the news down there, the insurance market's a bit of a mess. So we've been steering clear of that these days. But that's a basic intro of who I am and what I do.
Gotcha. So what I think is pretty funny is how we originally met. I had signed up for a wrestlers in business networking group, and I was a part of it for like maybe 9 months before I ever got an email from anybody associated with it. And it was you, and you wanted to connect and just kind of chat and do some networking, stuff like that. So first of all, tell me about, where you wrestled and a little bit about your wrestling career.
Yeah, sure. I didn't go into the collegiate level or anything like that, but I wrestled from the time I was a little kid, through my senior year of high school at West Hampton Beach High School. And by the time I was graduating there, West Hampton, my senior year, was very much like a underdog story, dual meet king type of team. Like none of us were winning the state or anything like that, but we kept beating these powerhouses in dual meets because we just had a lot of very solid wrestlers, which I would include myself in that, but nobody who was like, setting the world on fire. I think one of our wrestlers went to Duke to wrestle, but everyone else, called it quits after high school. But we really we made a nice run there.
Do you have a favorite memory from your wrestling career?
Yes, I pinned the county champion.
Really?
Yeah, and because we were such a dual meet type of champion team, we started getting a bunch of students to come to our tournaments and this and that. Like, we developed a bit of a fanfare within the school. So when I pinned this county champion in a tournament, the crowd went crazy.
You were at home?
No, it was away, but like I said, we developed a bit of a fanfare, so people were following us.
Wow.
Not like the whole school was going, but there was at least 20 students that were in the section, and then everyone's parents and our whole team. So there was probably about 50 to 70 people in the crowd who were on our side. So and no one expected me to win that match, and I was losing. I honestly caught him in a headlock. He just he hung his head, and I just got him.
Yeah, the old headlock is a favorite of mine as well. It's always, they tell you not to reach back until it's time to reach back, right? And then you can throw it.
Yeah, if you're down 5 points and someone hangs their head, you're reaching back.
Go for it, of course. That's pretty incredible. It's hard to get people to travel for a grueling day at a wrestling tournament. It's hard to get even the people on your team to stick around the whole day sometimes.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the fanfare didn't stay for the whole day, but they definitely stopped by.
They were there for what mattered.
Exactly, which was me pinning that guy.
Do you think that you took any of your lessons you learned in wrestling into your career?
I do think that I did. I in my wrestling career, I was a very patient wrestler. I really would catch people's mistakes, at the right time. And not that in my career I'm catching people's mistakes, but I'm patient. I understand that relationship building does not happen day one. You start the season, the preseason, the off season, and all of the training you do at that point. And actually, I ran a marathon in April, and that's the same type of thing. It's like you're running a marathon in April, and it's like what you do in September matters, what you do
Hmm.
or makes a difference in April. And it's the same thing with wrestling. The ramp up to the season, all the weightlifting you're doing, and unfortunately sometimes cutting weight and just exercising and getting ready and practicing your technique. I find that I'll start building a relationship for somebody who I think could be a great referral source or great client or something like that. And they may not come to fruition for 8 months or 10
Hmm.
months or whatever, however long it takes. And it's the same type of thing. I think it's just the consistency, the work ethic. The work ethic with wrestling, it's just like that. That's going to carry with any former wrestler for the rest of their life, I feel.
Yeah, I think for me it was a lot of being a good teammate, and then when you get older, learning those leadership skills, because you just spend so much time with your teammates as a wrestler. I feel like more than any other sport, you're just together constantly, and also just at those tournaments that are all day long. You know, so
Yeah, you develop a close bond.
for sure. So how did you get into insurance? Because I don't think you grew up as a little kid saying I want to get into the insurance industry when I'm older. Did you?
I did not. I met a friend when I was in college whose parents owned a couple insurance agencies, and he planted the seed in my mind a little bit. But that really wasn't it. I was at Suffolk County Community College, working at the Quad Club, a restaurant in the Hamptons. I was
Mhm.
washing dishes there at the time. By the time I left there, I'd washed dishes, been expediter, front desk, waiter. I did all the jobs over there. But anyway, I was working there, washing dishes, sitting there working double shifts, whatever. And I grew up in a pretty wealthy area in West Hampton Beach, so it's like a lot of my friends could afford to just not work and get the unpaid internship,
Right.
sometimes at their dad's law firm, sometimes wherever. Um, I looked on Craigslist for my internship. Because I was sitting there washing dishes in the hot kitchen, like I should do something so that I don't get out of school with no employable skills
Mm.
besides washing dishes. So I was looking on Indeed and LinkedIn and whatever, but on Craigslist is where I found an Allstate agency was looking for interns. And me at the time, even though my friend said his dad had owned the Allstate agencies, I really didn't know much about it. I mostly just knew about Allstate through the commercials,
Right.
whatever. So I went there thinking I was going to like a corporate building and everyone's going to be in suits. There's going to be 12 other interns. I walk in, it's a little mom and pop shop. This guy, Eric Honecker, good friend of mine. If you don't buy insurance from me, buy it from him. Um, Bumping G Unit when I walk in, just
Okay.
pounding the phones, just calling people all day. So he brought me in, and my job was to cold call. And I think I
Ooh.
got $50 every time that they converted a cold call to a sale, which was I was basically working for free because the sales cycle of insurance is like it's usually a couple months if it's coming off of a cold call. I mean, although I will say I have cold call people that bought from me on the first call. But anyway, I was cold calling for them as an intern, and I was pretty good at it. So Eric decided to pay to get me my license.
Oh
So I
wow.
got licensed as an agent at Allstate. I started doing pretty well. Still worked at the restaurant on the weekends, taking classes, doing whatever. And then I graduated Suffolk County Community College. I went up to New Paltz. The first week I was at New Paltz, I found a job at a restaurant, doing my classes, studying finance, and about a month or even less than that, being into school, I got an email from the business school saying an
Mhm.
Allstate agency was looking for interns.
Oh.
So I call up the Allstate agent. Her number wasn't even on there, but I Googled her. You can find an Allstate agent easily. I
Hmm.
Googled her. I called her, and I was like, "Hey, Melinda, like I'm looking for not for an internship, but I'm actually licensed and appointed by Allstate. Like, can I come on as a producer?"
Hmm.
I did. I ended up becoming Allstate's top producer in all of Ulster County, which is where I lived
Wow.
at the time. And keep in mind, Allstate,
While you were
there's
in
an Allstate.
school?
Yeah, while I was in school
Wow,
and on
impressive.
the weekends working in a restaurant.
Wow.
Um, and I still had a social life too, because the restaurant line out of 10. I
Yeah.
would take like the 7 a.m. classes and the 6 and 7 p.m. classes so that
Mhm.
I could go to the office during the day. And then on the weekends, I worked at the restaurant. And, throughout college, I had a girlfriend. I was going out with my friends. I was, going to parties and all that stuff still. I was able to balance it all. I mean, my grades might have slipped a little bit, but,
Mhm.
I graduated. I'm here.
Yep.
Um, but I did all that. And then when I graduated school, I wanted to get out of the captive agent model, which it's like when you're at Allstate, you can just sell Allstate. As an independent agent, you could sell Progressive, you could sell
Mm.
Nationwide, you could sell Hanover, you can sell Travelers, and the list goes on. There's only about 3 companies that are still in the captive model, and they're great companies too. But it's Geico, it's Allstate, and it's State Farm. I'm never going to be able to sell you a State Farm policy, but I could sell you pretty much everything else. So that's why I wanted to go to independent. So that's my whole career track to get to when I went to USI, which I don't you didn't know me when I was at USI, very big insurance
Mhm.
agency. And then now I'm at a more mid-sized agency. I'm on my second independent agency. But yeah, that's the way that the roller coaster went.
So when did you first think that you wanted to do something where you had to attract your own clientele and kind of build your own book of business?
That is a tough question. Wow. Because growing up, my father was a mortgage broker
Uh-huh.
and he did very well for a while. And then the mortgage industry crashed
Mm.
and he was left with raising 5 kids and driving limos. See, that's what he started doing when the
Okay.
mortgage industry completely crashed, you know. And so that was a very tough deal. So I think it was maybe not very smart of me to just, instead of learning from the mistakes, just going right into the same type of thing. But I think I just fell into it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I made that decision actively any
Mhm.
day. I think I went into it and I was pretty good at it. And I was just like, I'm good at this. Actually, very similarly with wrestling, I liked baseball and football much better. I was just better at wrestling.
Yeah. So
So
you
I
just
think I
you just
think that's what
realized
it
you were
is.
good at it, and at that point you said, I'm just going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, and when I saw the business model, because I like insurance in the way that like I like to help people and I understand it very well. So I want to give all my clients, like I do anything, I'm going to give my all to it. I could be a barista and I would try to make sure I'm the best barista you can be. But what I really like about insurance is the business side of it.
Mhm.
It's how do we get paid? How does the residuals work? How are our relationships with the carriers? How can we negotiate higher commission splits from this carrier? How are we keeping both the client and the carrier happy and also collecting our paycheck at the same time? And there's so many avenues of the business.
Mhm.
That's the part that fascinates me. Nobody will ever tell you they enjoy doing an insurance application or
Mhm.
going and quoting with all the different carriers. There's not one person in our industry is like that's the part of the job I like. But the part I like is the business of it.
Is there anything specifically that you do to make sure that both the carriers and the clients are happy?
Yeah, I think it's being honest, man. It's like the carriers have certain appetites of what type of business they want. And we have what's called binding authority. So we can represent the insurance carrier and issue out a policy if we want to, and it's going to be underwritten by them and it's going to be tough for them to cancel in the beginning unless there's a misrepresentation on something.
Mhm.
But we understand what carriers are looking for. We meet with them all the time. We get guidelines from them, and it's not screwing them over and it's not screwing the client over. And it's being upfront and asking the right questions and doing our research on properties. Like one of our partners, Andover, they always say we're their frontline underwriters, right? They don't want distressed properties. I have carriers that will take distressed properties. They
Mhm.
might be a little skimpier on the coverage, but they'll be able to get a deal done if you're buying a distressed property. But Andover doesn't want that. They want someone who maintains their property well. So I'm looking at the Google Street Viewer. In some cases, I'm even going to the house and looking at it and making sure that it's in the right condition before I send it across them. Because what happens if you keep sending them crap or stuff that they don't want,
Mhm.
they're gonna not want to work with you anymore. And that could be in the form of them just, you being the last person they're going to respond to the email or the
Right.
last person they're going to give an increased commission to, Or that could mean that they get rid of our agency's appointment. They say, we don't want to work with Hudson United anymore because you're giving us bad business. So
Gotcha.
I just try to be honest and upfront with all parties involved. And when a lot of times the general consumer wants to lie, because and a lot of times it's funny. They're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be lying about, but I know I should be doing something to get over. And it's just being able to sift through that and be like, all right, what's the real situation here?
Uh-huh.
When
Uh-huh.
was the roof really replaced? Like,
Right. Right.
is it knob and tube plumbing, or
Hmm.
wiring, I should say? You can tell me, like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And so a good insurance person like you does me a lot of favors when we then have to file claims, because a lot of times people will make a misrepresentation. Maybe it's smaller or on the larger side, and then we either have to try to argue for why the insurance should still provide coverage, or explain to the client why they're not getting the coverage that they expected.
Yeah, precisely.
So I know that you do a lot of hustling. You're running around. You're going to networking events. You're the president of our BNI chapter. What tell me more specifically. What kind of things do you like to go to? How do you like to meet people and network and try to build that book of business you have?
Yeah. So when I first came over to USI, like what I told you about when I first went to the independent agent route,
Mm-hmm.
prior to that, I had gotten all my business from cold calling, right?
Really?
And yeah, and so I was new to networking and stuff like that, and new to New York City. I lived Long Island, upstate New Jersey. I'd never been living in Manhattan. I moved to Washington Heights, and was in the thick of it. Had an office on Madison Ave, right in Midtown by Grand Central. And what I did the first day I walked into USI, I looked at the list of the leaderboard who sold the most insurance. Brad Ziegler was number one. Brad's one of my best friends to this day. We traveled the world together.
Uh-huh.
And I copied everything Brad did. And he was like, Devin, first thing you got to do, just look online, just go to networking events. Like, even if you find the free event that's on Eventbrite, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just get yourself out there, find yourself a BNI chapter or LATIP, or I was in like the National Association of Divorce Professionals a while, Manhattan Chamber of Commerce, whatever it is. Join an organization, but when you join it, get involved. It's like I always say in our BNI meetings, like what happens at BNI is not in the meeting, it's between the meetings. It's you go and you meet up with people. And I'm not in the same position as some people are, where they have an industry that's very conducive to having outbound referrals. Like, I have a lot that go to the life insurance people, but
Mm-hmm.
besides that, I don't have a whole lot of referrals that come naturally from doing business with my clients. So what I try to do is put people in a room together, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do anything you can to help raise up, the rising tide raises all ships. So I try to put people in rooms. Sometimes rather than make an email intro, I'm like, you two want to both meet me for happy hour? I think you guys would get along, whatever. And then that creates a more natural connection. And basically what happened by starting off with the free events and then joining the group, you just end up getting invited to things over time.
Uh-huh.
And another thing is I try to focus on the relationships with people that I just genuinely like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, I'm not like, this person has this profession, their client must be this person. I
Uh-huh.
don't really do that. I just look at people who, like, I like their work ethic, I like the way that they conduct themselves, or I just want to be their friend.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of lead with that, but I also lead with the giver's gain mentality of BNI, where
Mm-hmm.
you start with, like, how can I help you, rather than what can I take from you. And it ends up being that, like, sometimes you get more than you take, but you're leading with trying to give at the very
Mm-hmm.
least. And that's what really works for me. But yeah, I just go to a lot of events. I'm part of BNI. I'm part of the Manhattan Chamber, and just any chance I have to get out there. There's Triple Play real estate conference down in Atlantic City in December. I will definitely be there, and I will definitely be on the dance floor singing along to the Bad Bunny and everything that's going on. It's a lot of times it's just having fun with people, but then when it's time to do business, doing a good job on it, and that's how you get repeat referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone likes you, they're going to give you the first chance. And then if you do a good job on the first one, you're going to get the second one, and then just goes from there.
Yeah, I always hear people say that if you're going to get referred work, people need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. So it seems like
Exactly.
that's what you're saying in a more descriptive way. What is BNI, and how did you find out about it?
So BNI, it's Business Networking International. It's the largest networking organization in the world, but there's chapters within it. And the chapters can be as small as 8 members. They can be as large as like 100 members.
Wow.
And it's a networking organization that is very structured. It meets every single week, whether that's virtual or in person. And you can only have one person per seat. So, we have a personal injury attorney in Mr. Will Ferrero,
There
and
we
we're not
go.
going to allow another personal injury attorney to come by. So everyone holds their seats and everyone's in different professions. And the whole goal is to refer each other business and hopefully develop relationships over time. The
Mm-hmm.
founding principle of it is givers gain. And the founder is Dr. Ivan Meisner, very accredited author, and just started this organization from the ground up. And now it's in all different countries around the world. And yeah, the whole point is to just show up at a table and you vet people before they come in. So the membership committee's job is to make sure that the person is a reputable professional. So that way, when you're giving a referral, you're not going to get burned from your client. So then that way you can just go in and just be like, okay, this person made it through our membership committee. We trust them.
Mm-hmm.
They can get this referral. And everyone's job is to give into the collective, whether that is giving referrals, which is the number one thing, could be inviting visitors. It could be inviting people to different events and different things and giving them seats at the table. But at the end of the day, the goal is to drive revenue for everyone in the room.
Yeah, and another thing that I think that is really nice about it is that there's so many people who are experts in much different areas than I am. So it is kind of nice just to be able to shoot a text message or an email and be like, "Hey, this thing popped up. What do you think about it? Was this what should my client do?" And even if you can't, send business directly, sometimes you do get a little bit of some good advice that you wouldn't have been able to find if you didn't have that group.
Yeah, exactly. Like a great example is I've always wanted to have a personal injury attorney in my close sphere, because one, things happen to people, including my clients, and two, I don't get into the law side of insurance. I don't see the nitty gritty of like when the claims are being resolved. So it's great
Mm-hmm.
when I hear those stories from you and start to really learn about like what really happens when you're unraveling a liability claim, because they don't happen that often, but when they happen, they can be very financially impactful.
Right, of course. So what kind of advice would you have for somebody who's kind of setting out on a path where, maybe they're at the beginning of their career, or they're making a change and they need to start attracting clients?
It depends on the type of industry, because like if you're going into say like software sales and you need to attract clients, brother, get Zoom info and start calling.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in a more passive industry, or I shouldn't even say passive, but an industry where things are generally more referral based, which I would say both of our industries are that way,
Right.
start shaking as many hands as possible. Always have your business cards on you. Always be dressed nice. Whether you're going to the grocery store, and I'm not saying wear a suit to the grocery store, but don't be wearing pajama pants either, and have your business cards on you, even if
Uh,
you are just going to the grocery store. And just always be ready to take on a client and be available. Keep your phone on you and just look at how you can help people, even if it's not what you do for a living. Like helping people doesn't mean like if I'm trying to help someone, it's not helping them with an insurance policy the whole time. How can I help your business? How can I help you carry your groceries?
mm-hmm.
Oh, like did your grandma need a ride? Whatever it is. And it's not like doing that to expect something in return. It's just the more good you put out in the world and the more people see you doing that, the more everyone's going to want to help you. So just be visible, be kind, be presentable, and be ready.
Yeah. So it sounds like a giver's gain. You're really all in on the BNI mantra.
Yeah, giver's gain is, it could be BNI, it could be the Bible, it could be the Torah, it could be whatever. It's all there. People from the beginning of time have been saying giver's gain in different ways.
Mm-hmm. And we talk a lot about our ideal clients. Who is your ideal client?
It's so funny. Everyone is always telling me to be more specific, but my
Uh-huh.
industry is so not specific. It's like everyone needs insurance. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you drive a car, you're my ideal client. If you own a home, you're my ideal client. If you own a business, you're my ideal client. But honestly, actually, to be more concise, the clients that I have done the best with over the past couple of years have been property investors.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in between mom and pop and institutional, someone who owns, 20 properties. That's regionally though. If
Mm-hmm.
they're owning properties in Ohio, they're not, I'm not going to be the right agent for them. But if someone owns 20 properties in New Jersey, I'm going to be the perfect broker for them because I do that all day.
And if somebody owns 20 properties and they're unhappy with their insurance broker, where do they find you?
They can find me at 631-780-2335. That's my only phone number. You can email me. I don't know. Are we putting my contact out here after or well, whatever. I'll just say it.
Yeah, just say it.
Devin.Hogan, Devin.Hogan at HudsonUnited.com. I'm on Instagram at DevinHogan40. I don't post much about insurance, but I do accept DMs about insurance.
All right, very good. Well, thanks for sitting down to chat with me a little bit tonight. I'll see you soon.
All right. See you soon. Thanks, Will.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast. Please like, review, and subscribe so we can help the channel continue to grow. And if you're interested in connecting with any of the guests, please let me know, and I'd be happy to make the introduction.